And we are welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 2 of the Exiled Outcasts.
I like how you wanted to say live because you're like, we are live. I thought that was hilarious, even though we're pre-recorded.
I know it's just that old mentality regarding living, which I shouldn't be with doing my podcast on the side. I shouldn't be. I should be used to it by now, but old habits die hard.
This is the first time you've done something pre-recorded, like super pre-recorded. And I think that's good. I think that this is good for you in the sense that, like right now, let's be real and like breaking the fourth wall, super fucked up right now. Like I went out to a drag show with the lovely Trips Delight Fantastic. You and I both love her to death. She's fantastic. Yeah. But you and I made a promise to people. And we're going to talk about fucking sparkly vampires.
Oh, yes, we are. Yes, of course, I am the House of Che with my intoxicated co-host, Dick Tracy.
Also known as Dan.
Yeah.
I'm a professional, damn it. I'm here as requested. I'm here. And first and foremost, I want to say this. I got a good look at the last episode, and I think they did fantastic. I'd like to thank Bio and Cherry and everyone. I probably won't know all your names because, again, self-exiled here. I don't know all your names, but thank you all for the love and support you've given us. Tom Willis and everyone else involved. Thank you so much for watching the previous episode and thinking and giving us such high praise.
Yes, definitely. Thank you to them. Dylan, Dragon, and a few others. I think Otto and Coco, aka Jay Houston. So thank you to everybody and making the first episode a huge success. At the time of this recording, it was, I believe, near 147. So
yeah, motherfucker. That means that we did a decent job. Which again, this wasn't about doing like quality views. It was about you and I doing something finally. Like, I mean, and that's what it comes down to, right? You and I doing something together, which we've been wanting to do for years, right?
Yes. And the intrigue, because of course, when we recorded this and then afterwards, I was just building that mystery of who the co-host was. Was it this person? Was it that person? I'm like, well, find out Friday and all that. So it was like, I think the intrigue and the promotion worked to our advantage. And again, as I've mentioned previously, like regarding, like we both were listening to it back. Like I was at work listening during dead periods. I was listening to it just to see how everything was going and all that. And so I was like, wow. I was like, we got something here, you know?
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna say we got something here. It's enjoyable content. It's having a conversation. And speaking of conversation, we did mention at the end, like, you have this whole fucking Nosferatu look with your logo, with your fucking avatar here. But we were talking about the downfall of vampires in the 2010s.
It really, like, I look at it more in 2008 when Twilight came out, because after that they kind of focused, because around the same time in that same year we had 30, I believe it was 08, if not maybe a year prior, but it was 30 Days a Night, and that was to me one of the last widely theatrical true vampire movies.
Well, the idea of that movie was fucking fantastic. The idea that you're living up north in the fucking Great White Alaska fucking tundra, and these vampires have all the time in the world to fuck you up while like it's night. It's constantly fucking night there, and they don't have to worry about the sunshine burning them up and fucking like Nosferatu-ing your ass. They're fucked. And I mean, you know more about the movie than I do, so I'll let you fucking.
Yeah, and to go into more so before we get into the meat and potatoes, more so my love of vampire movies. I was probably 4 years old, and I stumbled upon, probably it was on TNT or something. I can't exactly remember what channel it was on, but the movie Fright Night. That was my very first introduction to vampires and all that. And the character of Jerry Dandridge always intrigued me. Chris Sarandon, who is just phenomenal. The score, the music in the movie, the performances, was Rodney McDowall as of course Peter Vincent, which again was somebody I would learn more about later on. Same with Chris Sarandon being in Child's Play and The Princess Bride and other movies like that. Also, kind of just to show my my what do you call it, kind of things that led me into how I am today. That was also the first movie I saw. A Pair of Breasts was in that the dream window scene, as I've always called, because the song that's playing in that during that scene is called Dream Window. And one side note as well, Spotify, fuck you for not ever releasing that soundtrack onto Spotify and other places.
Well, let's be fair. Like, what was it, Marcy? And she was later on to be more recognized in the movie in the series Married with Children.
Yes,
she was made to be a fucking fox in Fright Night, and they did her no justice in Married with Children. Like, other than her hooking up with the stripper and losing her wedding ring down the fucking stripper's pants, but like Marcy from down the street, who ended up getting divorced from the original her original husband in that show. She was in that movie and she fucking killed it as the fucking, let's just say, victim of the vampire.
Oh, yes. And something else, like, it took me years to finally watch it. It was free on YouTube, or it was on like an upload on YouTube. The sequel to the original Fright Night Part 2 that came out.
There's a fucking sequel?
Yes. That one has kind of been, so there's a sequel, and then there's the remake with Colin Farrell, which I did enjoy, and Anton Yelchin. And then there was a straight to DVD sequel to that movie, which was awful. But the sequel to the original had the original guy who played Charlie and Rodney McDowall coming back. Those were the main two. And it was basically them in a new area where they were fighting a new group of vampires. And one of them was a female, and she was basically supposed to be Jerry Dandridge's sister. Now, that movie had some controversy, not because of the film itself, but I believe one of the producers was the father of the Menendez brothers, who got killed and all that. So that's kind of the reason.
Whoa. We're talking about the Melendez brothers or the Menendez brothers?
Menendez, I get it.
Because if you're talking about the Melendez brothers, those motherfuckers were dicks who killed their parents.
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to, I believe.
The two dicks that killed their fucking, and it was all fucking, okay, this is where we're going to show our ages. Like, clearly, like I'm almost fucking 40, and you're a young buck, let's be real. The Melendez brothers were pieces of shit. They killed their fucking brothers. It was a fucking, like, no different than the O.J. Simpson trial.
Yeah.
A big fucking deal. Like, this fucking court trial went on for years, and it was about two brothers who tried to fucking say that we were tortured, we were abused, and this and that, and ended up killing their fucking parents, which was sick. It was just, if you've seen the movie Cable Guy, they make a fucking mockery of it. If you've ever seen that,
yeah, Cable Guy. Movie that some people may not consider a horror movie. I actually kind of do, with the whole stalkery thing and all that.
Oh, it was a fucking like Jim Carrey. It was one of Jim Carrey's first like real attempts at fucking like suspense and doing something other than comedy. Which there was very comical moments in it. Like I will always say that the number 13 was one of his best movies of all time.
The number 27.
Sorry, yes, the number 27.
That was a good one, and it got a lot of hate. And I like. It also has a great soundtrack. That's where I heard for the first time the group She Wants Revenge.
Yeah, the number 27 is an excellent movie. Jim Carrey.
Or 23. Sorry, I messed up too.
You motherfucker.
I'm thinking there was another movie.
I've been drinking and I've been watching drag fucking show right now tonight. So don't fuck with me.
No, I was also thinking of the movie. It came out, I think, around the same time, Chapter 27, which was with Jared Leto basically playing what's his name, the guy who killed Lennon.
We're gonna have to fucking go with the number 23 because
that's exactly
you, and fuck you for fucking sitting there like not acknowledging the number 23. Jim Carrey killed. Oh shit! Sorry, burp. Killed it in that fucking feature film.
Yeah, he did, and it's like that's what I like about comedians going transition, and ironically, to bring it back to the vampire thing, Carrie also one of his first leading roles was a movie called Once Bitten, which actually I rewatched recently. I hadn't seen it in a long time, and coming back from the first episode, found the Blu-ray dual pack of it for like $15. I was like, "Fuck! I've been wanting to get it for a while. Might as well get it now before it goes out of print again."
But what I'll say is this: like we were talking about, like okay, so as far as the thumbnail goes, it's a picture of you and fucking the guy from Twilight. I can't remember his name. What was it?
Robert Pattinson.
Well, no, the character.
Edward Cullen.
Okay, so Edward Cullen, and I'm not going to sit here and deny and say that it wasn't a fucking. It was a theatrical success because people love the Twilight series and the book series for like again, not going to sit here and fucking talk shit. Yes, this may be the alcohol talking. It was a very good series as far as the book series. We're watching these movies, and again, I had to watch them because my ex was super into the fucking Twilight series. I felt it. Like I felt the fucking the feeling they had for her and what was the name main character?
Oh, Bella, played by Kristen Stewart.
Which Kristen Stewart, like, she was so fucking dry. I'm sorry. Like the Robert Pattinson, like he killed it as a fucking like as the vampire the main protagonist, but Bella's character, like who gave a fuck about her? Like, let's be honest.
Exactly. It's like, and it's funny now to think, because I used to think back then that Robert Pattinson probably could make some of himself. I didn't think he was going to be as phenomenal of an actor as he's been for the movies I've seen him in. But it's funny that the one that was the most wooden in Chris Stewart is actually now an Oscar-nominated actress. Which deserved, because she was phenomenal in the movie Spencer that came out a couple of years ago.
Agreed. Like, but that's the thing. Like she was, because she was supposed to be the main character. Everyone's like, "Oh wow!" And let's be honest. Like, if you find an attractive woman and you put them in a movie like this, if they're fuckable, then oh my god, everyone is all over it. But he fucking put the work in to be Edward Cullen. He played the character, and the cat that played the werewolf kid. He put effort into the fucking character, like Jacob.
Jared Lotlinger, yeah.
They busted their ass while she sat there and played the most dry fucking victim I've ever seen in a fucking movie ever.
No, and I agree with that. And that's like, because after Twilight, we got these Twilight knockoffs. Now there were some that I liked, like around the same time that Twilight came out as well. There was a show called True Blood, which basically until like probably the last season, I thought was excellent. And I thought it handled, like, there were shows that basically Twilight didn't really, or True Blood didn't follow per se the Twilight formula. It was more the Vampire Diaries followed the formula, and I thought the Vampire Diaries did it better than Twilight, in my opinion.
Oh, but see, the Vampire Diaries were fucking hamstrung from the beginning, because watching the Vampire Diaries, which is when it was a CW thing, kind of like whenever you watch Smallville and anything like that, especially in those 2000s era, Smallville was a big deal. But anything that came after that, everybody was sucked onto it, like Supernatural, which is one of the greatest shows of all time. But people, like they kind of fell off after the whole Lucifer Rising episode. The whole another story, but you were kind of fucked because of the vampire nostalgia act. Vampire Diaries, I felt like it was a good show, but did not get the credit it deserved simply because it was fucked by Twilight.
Yeah, and that's what happened to a lot of movies afterwards, and it sucks because I've said this. There's some good vampire movies that came out, but it's like the two genres that I feel like in the monster. Well, really, all if you go into the Universal monster era, a lot of those movies you don't really see anymore. If you do, it's like some straight to DVD bullshit. But
yeah,
like the werewolf movies are kind of died out. Like if they are in there, they're kind of molded with the vampires.
Well, just like fucking Underworld, which I finally finished the series as far as movies go. I think the last one was the one with her daughter, and at the very end you find out that the fucking the hybrid was still alive. But like I said, those were a good.
Well,
series.
was that the fourth one or the fifth one? Because there was a fifth one.
I saw up to the point where they're in the future and fucking humans are trying to fucking become fucking werewolves, which is bullshit.
Yeah, because there was Blood. It was Awakening, which was the one that came out in 2011, and then Blood Wars, which came out a few years after. I don't think I've seen Blood Wars. I have the 4K collection now. Now again, just to bring that, but I haven't watched it just because it's like I'm like movies.
Hey, Beckinsale did a very good job. Okay, so there was Underworld and there was Underworld Resurrection where they fucking killed Marcus's brother.
Yeah,
go fuck yourself. And then the one I saw after that was the one where
Rise of the Vikings, which was the prequel.
Well, not that one, but I'm saying the one after that was the one where they were trying to fucking hide from humans, and then eventually the humans were trying to fucking become lichens. That was the last one I saw.
Okay, yeah, because I'm trying to remember because it's been a minute. I've seen like I rewatched the first one when I got the collection because I was like, okay, I want to see how this one looked because it's an older film compared to the other ones, and that was another one that like it kind of came during because there was that little mini renaissance during the Blade era. Once Blade came out, and then you saw kind of these types of vampires that were kind of Blade-esque.
They don't have the class. Okay, so like, look, we're talking about vampires. Hey, Cherry, I know how much you like vampires, but like, if we're talking about vampire flicks, right? The greatest, in my opinion, like depiction of the class that vampires were. Bram Stoker's Dracula with fucking the master of fucking being Dracula himself. You know what I'm talking about.
Gary Oldman.
Gary fucking Oldman.
And that one is like, that one I didn't watch until I think 2020. Because like with the pandemic, I was kind of
how the fuck did you not watch Bram Stoker's Dracula until 2020?
I know. I think I really don't know what stopped me from watching it because again, I saw the Bela Lugosi Dracula, I saw Nosferatu, the original and the remake.
The greatest, and I wouldn't even consider fucking Bram Stoker's Dracula. I mean, yeah, there's horror elements to it, but it's a romance. The greatest line in the history of romance, as far as like a fucking Dracula movie or a horror movie. I have crossed oceans of time to find you. My God, that is a panty dropper.
Yeah. And it's like, and that one, really the only flaw for that one, for my opinion, is of course, and I love Keanu Reeves, but his British accent. But I think I'm not the minority who believes that, regarding his.
Oh, but see, that's the thing. He was just meant to be a set piece. The actors who were the main actors of that movie were Gary Oldman, fucking
Winona Ryder,
and fucking fucking Van Helsing in that movie.
Anthony Hopkins, right?
Anthony Hopkins. He killed it in that movie. And spoiler alert, he fucking ends up killing the brides of fucking Dracula. But it's a whole fucking narrative. If you've ever read the fucking Bram Stoker books, like the whole movie is based on a book that was written in letters. Like the whole Bram Stoker's Dracula novel was written in letters. It's one of the first fucking novels I've ever written. Beautifully fucking done. Amazingly like concepted. And like even so much that the game Castlevania Bloodlines is based off that fucking book because it's so fucking incredible. Quincy Morris led up to Christopher Morris in the Dracula series as far as like Castlevania, and which led on to so much more shit in the games, but it was just so fucking properly done. It was a beautiful story told.
No, and agreed with that. Like, it's amazing how like one book has, generate all this. It's like it's like in zombie movies or so on and so forth, where one little thing basically, and sometimes to its detriment because it's oversaturated. Now, in modern times, like in the past couple of years, we've been having a little more of I would say a vampire resurgence in regards to film and TV because we had, which wasn't that good, but The Invitation, which came out last year, which was a Dracula film. And then we're having this Last Voyage coming out in August, which does look interesting. They did give it a rated R, which I thought okay, it's Dracula on a boat. It's basically, from what I've gathered of the little bit of information I've gathered for this, basically it's from the period.
Say that, but all I hear is on a boat, and I think of the fucking Lonely Island Boys. It's on a boat. They fucked up Jason, which, don't get me wrong, the look of Jason Voorhees and Jason Takes Manhattan was on a boat. I love that look of Jason, but it was a shit movie. Let's be honest.
Yeah. The only thing redeeming, like one of my favorite scenes was basically the boxing scene in that. So no, this is more so, from what I understand, this is going to be kind of taking place during the period when Dracula was going from Transylvania to London.
Well, tell me this: you saw Renfield. Was that any good?
Yes. It was more. I kind of said it was basically an amalgamation of horror, action, and comedy. So, and for Universal fans who love the Bela Lugosi stuff, like people who like that movie or like those movies, I won't go into too many details regarding it, but there are callbacks to those movies with this one. And I thought Nicolas Cage was good. It was great as Dracula. There were times where I was like, okay, he's playing, like, there are times he's playing the strip, which was great. And then I was like, okay, I was like, the scenes where he would be having his little Nick Cage isms, which I love.
Yeah, but see, my problem with Nick Cage is that he's only doing movies because he's broke as shit. Like, and a lot of people don't talk about this, but he got fucked by his taxes. So he's doing every movie he can to fucking pay those taxes. You're not going to get the best Nick Cage. Like, Con Air was the last good Nicolas Cage movie, in my opinion.
I disagree. There was a movie he came out with like in the last couple of years, called Pig. I don't know if it's still on Hulu, but if it is, check it out. You know
what? Let me correct myself. National Treasure, the original National Treasure, was a decent movie.
Yeah, and then another rated one was Lord of War, which is a good one. It's actually getting a 4K Steelbook, which I'm actually excited for. But and what's funny about Nick Cage is that, like, this is not the first quote unquote vampire movie he's done. One of his earlier films was, of course, Vampire's Kiss, which kind of started the whole. And IGN did a article on this recently, or a video essay, talking about how Vampire's Kiss started kind of the Nick Cage meme machine when he would have these instances. So that one, in my opinion, like, that was his, like, kind of first quote unquote vampire movie going into this. But yeah, I thought the movie was really well done. Like, it had some good action, it had some funny moments, and it had some scenes where you feel like, okay, this is a horror movie. Like, this came out the same weekend of The Pope's Exorcist. I have not seen The Pope's Exorcist yet. Love Russell Crowe, but I've gotten sick and tired of Exorcist movies. So with this, it's like, that Redfield was my first choice. And the review, from what I've heard of Pope's Exorcist, I haven't heard good things about it. But the other, like, the Lost Voyage, that's or Last Voyage, that's one of them that's coming out. And then, of course, we had last year Interview with the Vampire, which is the TV series. And I was like, I thought that a show based on the books, because I'm a big, like, I grew, like, besides Fright Night, the other vampire movie I grew up with was Interview with the Vampire, Queen of the Damned. Queen of the Damned was basically what kind of got me into the music I was in because of the gothic nature and all that other stuff. So, but I was really looking forward to the show. And then right before they announced, like, when they were starting to announce the cast, they basically did a few things I wasn't in favor of because of the book. They made Louis Black.
But to be fair, like, if we're talking about Queen of the Damned, Aaliyah made that role herself. Granted, God rest her soul. Like, she made herself Queen of the Damned. Like, she killed it as the character of fucking, like, oh my God. Like, when you watched her fucking and killed her fucking her second in command, her husband, and because she fell in love with Lestat.
Exactly. And, it was with Lestat was, like, my only issue with Queen of the Damned, now that I've read the books, because when I was a kid, I loved the movie, and all that. But when I rewatch it, my issue of the movie is actually after the concert. Yeah. For those of you who see Queen of the Damned, you know what I'm referring to. Because the problem with Queen of the Damned is that it's two books into one.
Yeah.
It's the Vampire Lestat and then Queen of the Damned. and and like basically I would say 75% of the movie is the vampire Lestat, and then 25% of it's Queen of the Damned. So really, this movie should have been called The Vampire Lestat, just because of the whole situation with the whole.
Okay, so
mixture.
just to give you guys an understanding, I don't expect everybody to go watch Queen of the Damned, which is an excellent movie. So if you watch Interview with a Vampire, Lestat was kind of made out to be a fucking weakling, and let's be real, like, and I love Brad Pitt, like Fight Club, one of my favorite movies, but
Yeah,
Louis was made to be a pussy. Let's just be real. Louis was fucking made to be a pussy. And then he had that interaction with the fucking Antonio Banderas as what the fuck was the character's name?
I don't think it was Marius. Fuck, I'm losing. Like
it wasn't Marcus. Anyway, fucking he ends up all the shit he goes through with fucking Antonio Banderas, and then he goes and talks to fucking what's his name, the reporter, and it's just fucking bullshit. All for you to get to the end, and Lestat fucking basically runs the show and says, "Hey, I'm gonna fucking suck your blood, turn you into a vampire, and fucking you're gonna tell me what's going on with the world." It's about Lestat, right? And Tom Cruise was I'm sorry, Tom Cruise was an okay Lestat, all right? Like
I loved I was one of the guys that really Stuart Townsend was great too, but whenever I thought of Lestat, it was always Tom Cruise. The closest thing.
That's why I disagree with you, because Stuart Townsend killed it as the character. Like, Tom Cruise was all of fucking 15 minutes as Lestat. When Stuart Townsend took over the role in Queen of the Damned, it was like, oh my God, I believe you are Lestat. You were the one who had balls enough to suck the fucking blood of the queen of vampires. You gave no fucks. That's a bad motherfucker. I'm going to start a vampire rock band. Like, I love that. Like Stuart Townsend.
Yeah, his no fucks given attitude, which to be fair, Lestat does. That was like his ambition, even going back to that, and then going even back to now. Again, they change certain things around, which they do with any book. They'll change certain things because Marius was not his maker in the book, or even now Marcus was his the maker of him. And they now, to go back to the TV show that came out AMC last year. There were certain things that changed regarding certain things. They made Lestat or Louis black. They made Claudia black and aged her up a little bit. Still kind of like a teenager, right? And I wasn't
but because bullshit, because that, like, Claudia was a fucking little girl. Let's be real. Like,
exactly, yeah.
What was the actress's name? Who grew up to be a fucking fantastic actress?
Kristen Dunst.
Yeah, Kristen Dunst as an actress is amazing, and she did a wonderful job as the character in Interview with a Vampire. Sadly, her demise came at the hands of the fucking coven of Antonio Banderas. But all bullshit aside, she did a fucking phenomenal job as a character. And to sit there and deny that and the downfall of Louis' character is bullshit as far as a TV show. Fuck you. You know,
now,
fuck
there were. Yeah, to go back to that, I was against it primarily because, again, Louis in the book and in the movie, he was a plantation owner.
Yes,
and all that. Now they made him a pimp. Now we're going to get into my thoughts, because I did watch the show, and then they were also going to build more upon the relationship between Lestat and Louis, which, again, anybody who's read the book knows that they are lovers in the book. So they only they kind of hinted at it in the movie from '94, I believe. Yeah. So with all that, they were going, and plus we're in a different time now where it's a little more okay to do that. Where not everybody's going to freak the fuck out. Oh, two dudes making out. So there were pros and cons to what I thought the show was going to do. And I saw the first trailer and I was like, okay, I still am not in favor of Louis being a pimp and all that, and kind of, but when I thought about it more, I thought, well, in a way, his women are his slaves, because he's like, it's to get him money by having favors.
Yeah, but see, that's the problem I have with that. Don't try to fucking readapt a story that's already well done. Louis being a plantation owner worked. I'm sorry. Like,
no, and I agree with that. And then when the show came out, and I remember it was like because it was the first episode, and they did this thing where because they were hyping it also as a part of AMC Plus, which is their streaming service. So basically, they were saying, "Oh, well, if you watch this episode, you can watch the next episode early if you subscribe." So I actually did, because I watched that first episode, and they also changed the time frame. They changed the interview part to be in the 70s, and then basically the events of the original Interview with the Vampire happened, and so many years later, they decided to meet up again, the interviewer and Louis, to basically do it again with more clarity and more self-reflection, all that, which I thought was kind of interesting, that they didn't just do it like consistently shot for shot. They did, like you could say they did with the actual when they went back in time. But going into the first episode, again, I had very low expectations, and after the first episode, I will be the first one to admit that I came in there with kind of like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to like it. And I was like, God damn, I'm going to have to go and subscribe to AMC Plus so I can watch the next episode right now, because the acting was really great in this show. And the performances, Claudia, I will say, that was the one I was most nervous about. The actress who played Claudia, not saying she's a bad actress, but I was just, again, the aging up and all that. But I actually enjoyed her performance almost as much as Sam Reed. Sam Reed, I thought, did a great Lestat, and it built upon not just the physical abuse that was going on through them, but the psychological of Lestat and Louis. And they left it all, like, there was little callbacks to previous films or callbacks to the books. There was also callbacks to, or there was like certain things they alluded to. Like there was a scene when Louis will not talk about Claudia. Like, he tries not to talk about her, and he basically gives the interviewer some books, her diaries to read, basically because he's not comfortable. But whenever the conversation with him, he goes over to this tree. And he takes his sandals off and puts his feet into the sand. I'm thinking, and this is speculation, but I'm thinking he put her ashes into, because we haven't gotten basically the show without going too much into it, because I do recommend people to watch it as someone who is against it. It basically ends when Louis, the whole incident with Louis and Lestat. Like, if you've seen the movie or read the book, when they thought they killed Lestat. That's where it basically ends at for the season. And so I'm thinking that, so they haven't gotten to Claudia's death or whatnot, but I'm thinking that area in Louis' home is like Claudia's ashes sparkled around that tree. The idea of using death to bring life into something. And so, but again, as someone who wasn't the biggest, who was someone who was against this show because of the changes it made, and watched it with low expectations, which also helped, I ended up loving it. Is it the best interview or Anne Rice material that's done? No. But with the changes that were made, it actually didn't improve upon anything, but it was like, I didn't, after a while I stopped caring that the changes are race, because I've always said in anything, as long as you keep the foundation of the character in, you could have any type of person play it. Just not like James Bond, have a woman called Jane Bond. I just don't believe in that, or if you want to have a black Spider-Man, Miles Morales, it's just, those are the certain things. But I'm one of those guys, as long as you get talent into a role. Kind of side note, but I didn't have an issue with Jeffrey Wright playing Gordon in the Batman, because to me, he's a fucking talented actor. And I'm one of the only people who thinks he's the best Gordon. Again, my love of the Batman is very much known, so which is funny with the Robert Pattinson thing. But yeah, regarding all that, the TV, we're getting a second season, we're getting all that, so I'm very curious to see where it goes from there. But going back to Twilight, Because like you, I saw all the movies. Unfortunately, because kind of similar thing, ex-girlfriend. So I had to watch all these movies. Unfortunately, the only one I actually did like that I could watch in the background or something was Eclipse. Had a great sound. The movies had good soundtracks. I will say that. But what do you call it? Breaking Dawn Part 2 pissed me off. I'm assuming you've seen Breaking Dawn Part 2, correct? Dan, you there?
Yeah.
Did you pass out?
No.
No. I was asking if you saw. I was like, oh, Drake Toad just passed out during recording. I am ashamed. You are fired. You're gonna make an exposed video.
Well, I thought you were going on ham and about fucking like Interview with the Vampire next, like your fucking love of the fucking series.
Oh, I did, but then I was like, then we kind of reeled it back into Twilight.
I can't find a solid fucking positive about that show. Okay, so bringing it all back and talking about that, I will always say that my fucking vampires don't sparkle. I look at Keith Sutherland. I look at fucking the Lost Boys. That is my fucking like pinnacle when it comes to vampires.
Yeah. Like for me, Keith Sutherland, Chris Sarandon. Trying to think of the other ones. Kate Beckinsale, Wesley Snipes. Going back, like Christopher Lee, Bela Lugosi, Gary Oldman.
You can say that Gary Oldman's up there, but I will always go with Maggots, Michael.
Yeah, Maggots.
That was the fucking line of the century. Like,
yeah,
look at the fucking story of that. You're in Santa Monica, California. You have fucking Star, who is a pre-vampire basically, and fighting off the fucking curse. Her first meal was meant to be Michael, and they convince him to fucking consume of David's blood. And if you haven't seen The Lost Boys, go fuck yourself. It's a fucking fantastic movie, no matter if you're a vampire fan or not.
Agreed.
Like watching the turn and him fighting with it and trying not to. And at the very end, the twist is her fucking aunt, their grandfather saying, "It's the one thing I didn't like about Santa Monica, all the fucking vampires." Fucking beautiful movie. Fucking tell me if there's one negative scene about that movie.
No, there's not. And it's unfortunate with some of these movies that they, like we had. Basically 2 straight to DVD movies that came afterwards, many years later, mind you. And certain days they were trying to tease because there was some promise in the sequel because like Corey Haim became a vampire, and I think it was Keith Sutherland's half brother, Angus Sutherland. He played like the new vampire, but they were like doing like a surfer, like extreme sports type of thing. So that didn't work.
Yeah, I'm never gonna fucking consider those as part of canon. It's just who I am. I'm sorry.
You're gonna hate me for this. That was actually the first one I saw.
Go fuck yourself.
I never because
again soundtrack alone. Good girls don't cry. Oh fuck.
Yeah,
cry, little sister. Oh man, they fucking killed it.
Yeah, and it was like, it's I have some funny stories of certain movies I saw, like maybe the worst sequel. Cruel Intentions was another one that I saw the sequel / prequel first. Fun fact: one of Amy Adams' first starring roles.
Cruel Intentions was just one that, like, if you're really into those fucking like tragic love stories, it really tugs at the heartstrings.
Which one? Cruel Intentions.
Cruel Intentions.
Yeah. Cruel. Like it was literally the first part 2, which it was like it's a guilty pleasure of mine. Now watching the original, it got me into Placebo was with that one, and that was another great soundtrack. But kind of, it's a good segue with this with Cruel Intentions. Another thing that I watched as a kid religiously when I was a child. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And fun fact, I actually saw the movie first when I probably around the same time I saw Fright Night when I was 4 years old. So I kind of led me into watching the TV show. And I was
Well, Buffy the Vampire Slayer was a good fucking flick, but I remember I one of those kids who didn't realize what the fuck is this I'm watching, and it's a TV show, which led into a show that I loved religiously, Angel.
Oh yes, and Angel unfortunately gets a lot. Like it doesn't get talked about as often as it was. Kind of just the redhead stepchild, but Angel was a fucking good show.
Absolutely.
And what do you call it with Buffy? Now I was more of a Spike guy than I was an Angel guy. I liked Angel,
Bro, fuck yourself. I like Spike, but go fuck yourself. Angel was the shit.
I just looked at Spike with that iced hair, the freaking accent, the jacket, just the devil may care attitude. I just liked his, season 7, season 6 to me was one of my favorites.
They did fucking, what was her name? The girl that got fucking possessed. I can't remember her name.
Willow?
Willow. They did her, not Willow. No, it wasn't Willow. The doctor, his love interest.
Giles' love interest?
Yes.
Trying to remember that part because I was going to say I thought you were about to bring up Willow because they fucked her over in season 7.
Yeah, Willow.
I loved.
But Frankie,
yeah,
they fucked her over horribly. She was an excellent character, but they felt like her being fucking possessed by a demon. That was the best way to go. That's bullshit. It got campy where Angel got fucking turned into a puppet. It was all towards the end. It was bullshit. The one show that CW actually did well was fucking, let's be real, Supernatural.
Yeah.
I don't know. Angel was a wonderful show. They kind of towards the end did not give it the fucking love it deserved.
Yeah, I think it was the last season that Spike came in because I think that was the last season that I didn't think was that. And it was nothing against Spike. It was just I think they also tried to bring him back to they probably had ratings issues. So they were like, oh, let's bring him back because that'll attract new viewers. They had one episode where they were teasing Buffy. The entire episode was Spike and Angel, and then there was no Sarah Michelle Gellar. It was kind of reminded me of the series finale of Two and a Half Men, and how they were like, oh yeah, Charlie's alive, here he is, and then a piano fell on him. It was just a spiteful thing by I believe Chuck Lorre.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of, like I said, they get to that point where they want to be fucking dicks, and that's what it was all about. Like I said, the few CW shows they did well was fucking Supernatural, and with the whole fucking Angel thing, they were trying to hint at, well, maybe Sarah Michelle Gellar will join the fucking cast. Fuck you, Sarah Michelle Gellar had her time. They did their thing with her. And now you're fucking with David Boreanaz and Spike, and it's like that's kind of bullshit the way you're fucking treating those two. They're good actors. Quit fucking with them.
And fun fact as well with because in Queen of Damn, Marius, who I love the character in that movie played by Vincent Perez, him and David Boreanaz have something in common. They were both in Crow movies. Vincent Perez was the new Crow in City of Angels, which I will defend as a good Crow sequel that would have been better if the Weinsteins didn't get involved with it.
Well, the Weinsteins tend to fuck shit up, but
yeah,
we're
and Boreanaz was in the third one or the fourth one.
Well, Boreanaz and fucking the guy who played Spike were in Kingdom Hearts, so they have had and Bones, but he did Bones, which was a fucking excellent series.
Yeah,
but again, having to be the fucking moderator for you, we're coming to that time. The one thing, and again, a transition that I think a lot of women would have wanted was to see David Boreanaz in some sort of OnlyFans kind of adaptation.
Oh, yes.
So I would say, seeing as we're coming to the end of this, and again, I think it's been a decent conversation, even though I'm fucking filthy drunk. Let's be honest.
And we've had a lot of disagreements with certain ideologies regarding vampires, which that's the beautiful thing about film and all that stuff is that we're not always going to be agreeing on every little bit of detail.
Well, the one thing we will disagree on is I don't want to see you in any sort of OnlyFans adaptation.
Yeah, I know. It's like like I always joke about like I have one. I raised the price to $200. Yada yada yada. Inflation, but
No one wants to see your little hangman.
oh no, like you just have to pay elsewhere, like other people, because freelancing is a thing, but that's a conversation for another time.
That being said, since you are the boss man, I will say I hope you all have enjoyed the discussions we've had going back and forth about our love and dislike of certain vampire topics, but ultimately El fucking Guapo over here, Mr. Nosferatu, has control of how we close things up.
Yes. And before I do sign off, two things. Few vampire recommendations in terms of more recent movies in the last decade. Only Lovers Left Alive, Kiss of the Damned. Some of these you can find either on Blu-ray or on streaming. Kiss of the Damned kind of fluctuates on Shudder.
And I'll also say that some of the movies we have discussed, if you really truly love vampire movies, Bram Stoker's Dracula with fucking Gary Oldman, killer, one of the best vampire movies of all time.
John Carpenter's Vampires is another one.
Excellent film.
A underrated one that recently got a blue.
Even though one of the fucking Baldwin brothers is a main character in it.
Oh, and Vampires, yes. And another one that I would recommend is not it's kind of a very underrated movie. Is called Sundown. A movie that recently, in the last year, got a Blu-ray release by Vestron Video, which is a subsidiary of Lionsgate. They release more underground, unknown. They recently released Earth Girls Are Easy, which some of that I've never seen, but I was like, okay, it has Jim Carrey in it. But,
but to be fair, like there's some movies like for instance, Jawbreaker is one of the few movies I think is fucking fantastic, and it didn't get the fucking love it deserved. It probably should have been a straight to DVD movie, but again, from one of the same kind of fucking creators.
Yes, Jawbreaker was another good one, and then finally, I mentioned it earlier, Once Bitten. With Jim Carrey, and then finally Vampire's Kiss, if you want to see kind of the birth of the Nicolas Cage, him freaking out and having his moments.
There you go, motherfuckers. We talked about vampires. Okay, Chayton, it's time for you to close it out.
Yes. So with that, I've been the House of Chayton. This has been, and that's Dan.
Hi.
And yes, hi and bye. But anyway, we will leave you with a little tease of what is going to be coming up on the next episode. But until then, y'all stay safe and watch some fucking good vampire movies, damn it.
And with big dicks.
We bid you adieu.
Next episode is going to be about big dicks.
Oh, yes, big dicks. Big dicks. Big Dick Johnson for all you wrestling fans out there. Anyway, ta-ta for now.